So about a year ago or so, I made a video going over the top 5 drivers to never win the Formula 1 World Championship. Now, the opinion based in that was basically on an article that was on the F1Chronicle.com, but I've decided to remake this video with my personal picks for the top 5 drivers to never win the Formula 1 World Championship. There are some fantastic drivers in F1. I mean, even to make it to F1, you have to be an unbelievable driver, but these are the guys that, for whatever reason, and in a lot of cases actually because their careers were cut very short way before their time, never got the chance to win a Formula 1 World Championship. These are my top 5 picks for the best drivers in F1 history to never win an F1 championship. The first on my list is Jackie Ickx. Now, Jackie Ickx is without a doubt one of the best, if not the best, sports car racer in the history of that discipline. He is a legend of Le Mans. He held the record for the most wins at the 24 Hours of Le Mans for absolutely decades, until a certain Mr. Christensen came along and stole his thunder. But he's still rightfully regarded as a legend in that sport, and he should also be regarded as a legend in Formula 1 as well. He competed between 1966 and 1979, picking up 8 wins and 25 podiums. Given the fact that arguably this was not his best discipline, the fact that he was so good in F1 was absolutely unbelievable. And it was Jackie against Jackie in the late 60s and early 70s to win many Formula 1 World Championships. Sir Jackie Stewart did come out on top more often than not, but Sir Jackie is without a doubt one of the greatest drivers in the history of the sport, bar none in my opinion as well. Jackie Ickx managed to finish second in the Formula 1 World Championship in 1969 and 1970, driving for Brabham and then Ferrari respectively. In 69, nice, he lost out to Sir Jackie, and then in 1970 he lost out to the late great Jochen Rindt, who became the only posthumous Formula 1 champion in the history of the sport, and hopefully he'll remain the only one. We never want to see any fatalities in Formula 1 ever again. But yeah, Jackie is an absolute legend of Formula 1. He was so consistent in the late 60s and early 70s. Next up, we've got one of the many drivers whose careers were cut short by injury and eventually a very untimely death as well. I'm talking about Didier Pironi. Pironi competed in Formula 1 for only 5 seasons between 1978 and 1982. And in 1982, he managed to finish runner-up in the World Championship despite not competing in the latter parts of that season due to a career-ending injury at the Hockenheimring. If I'm not mistaken, his Ferrari basically ran into the back of Alain Prost's Renault in wet and dangerous conditions. These being the days, of course, of the old Hockenheimring that had a layout similar to what we see today at Monza, but was arguably even faster. Pironi later passed away in 1985. I believe it was during a boating accident. But his time in Formula 1, although it was short, was very sweet. He managed to get 3 victories in his time and 13 podiums. Of course, partnering someone who we'll talk about very soon in a very tragic rivalry at Ferrari. Had he not had that career-ending accident at the Hockenheimring, I confidently predict that Pironi would have won the World Championship in 1982. The fact he managed to finish second despite that happening shows how good he was during that season. And had he done that, he would have become the first French Formula 1 World Champion before Alain Prost managed it in 1984. And who knows, Pironi may well have gone on to win multiple World Championships as well. If not at Ferrari, maybe at another team like McLaren. Who knows? It's very much into alternate history at that point. But what can't be doubted is how good Pironi was in F1 and how much he would have achieved had he continued to race. Now, I debated with myself about where to put Gilles Villeneuve in this list. He does make the podium, but he's in at number 3. I could have easily put him at number 2. Maybe I should have put him at number 2. But he is absolutely, without a doubt, for me, one of the most raw, talented drivers in F1 history. The feats that he managed in that F1 car. I've spoken about Villeneuve on a number of occasions on this channel and waxed lyrical about how talented he was, but just go back and look at some of the things that he attempted to do in a Formula 1 car. It absolutely defied logic. I would have given anything to see Villeneuve race against the likes of Senna, but unfortunately their paths did not cross in F1. Villeneuve competed in Formula 1 between 1977 and 1980. 1982. 1982, he tragically passed away in a qualifying accident at the Belgian Grand Prix at Zolder. Again, Villeneuve, had he lived, he may well have won the World Championship in 1982. He was one of the candidates to do so. He managed to pick up 6 wins in his Formula One career, and all of them were so memorable. An incredible one at Monaco, showcasing his skill, holding the pack up. I believe it was Harama in 1979, unless I'm mistaken. You know, just inch perfect driving. He never had the fastest car in that Ferrari, really. He lost out on the championship just to his teammate Jody Scheckter in 1979. And I know some people will point to the fact, well, he had the best car then, didn't he? Well, maybe, perhaps he did. But he was only competing in Formula One full-time for the second season in his career. 1977, he did not compete the full season. So for me, Villeneuve, he absolutely could have and should have gone to achieve more had he lived. And is without doubt one of the best drivers to never win the Formula One World Championship. That, for me, is not up for debate. Similar as well, tragically, for Ronny Peterson. The Super Swede competed in F1 in the 1970s between 70 and 78. And again, another driver who passed away before his time. He died after the 1978 Italian Grand Prix, where his teammate Mario Andretti at Lotus went on to win the World Championship during that Grand Prix. There was a huge pile-up at the start of the Grand Prix. Essentially, it was started by the green flag at the start of the race being waved before all the drivers had actually stopped to line up in their grid slot, which basically made a massive concertina effect going into the first chicane at Monza, and tragically ended up injuring a lot of people, most notably Ronny Peterson, where he would later pass away in hospital. Peterson was an absolute legend of Formula One. Driving for March, Lotus and Tyrrell during his career, he managed to finish runner-up in 1978, where had he got a better result at the Italian Grand Prix and not passed away, he could have won the championship that year. But he did also come close to winning the title back in 1973, where he finished 3rd, and also in his first full season of Formula One racing. In 1971, he came 2nd to Sir Jackie Stewart. That is an incredible feat in itself, coming 2nd in only your first full season of the sport. But yeah, Ronny Peterson is an absolute legend, without a doubt, one of the greatest to never win the World Championship. Of that, there can be no doubt. But number 1 on the list, you probably already knew this was coming. Bit of British bias, perhaps, but for me, you can't put anybody above Sir Stirling Moss when it comes to racing in Formula One and not winning the World Championship. Moss is synonymous with speed in the 1950s. He is an all-round racing legend and managed to finish 2nd in the championship on no less than 4 occasions in a row between 1955 and 1958. He also managed to finish 3rd 3 times in a row between 59 and 1961, where he was eventually forced to retire due to injuries sustained in his Lotus. And there are 2 main reasons really why Moss never won the World Championship in Formula One. Essentially, in 1958, he effectively gave the championship away, although he didn't know it at the time. During the Portuguese Grand Prix towards the end of that season, he essentially stuck up for his rival for the championship, Mike Hawthorn, and lobbied against him getting a disqualification. Essentially, I believe Hawthorn was accused of getting a push start, which of course resulted in a disqualification, but Moss saw the incident and stuck up for his rival, lobbying the stewards to reinstate his position, and they did, and that eventually gave Hawthorn the championship and became the first British Formula One champion in 58. On top of that as well, probably the biggest reason why Moss didn't win a championship was because of a certain Juan Manuel Fangio, who won every title in those years between 55 and 57. Whether it was at Mercedes as teammates or competing for different teams, Fangio stopped Moss winning the championship in those 3 seasons. Fangio, of course, is rightly regarded as, without a doubt, one of the GOATs of Formula One, if not the GOAT himself. I can definitely make an argument for him being the best, as we have discussed many times on this channel. So Moss essentially was just in the right place at the wrong time, effectively at times, or in the wrong place at the wrong time, if you prefer. But yeah, there you go, guys. Moss, without a doubt, a legend of Formula One. As all 5 of these drivers, Gilles Villeneuve, Ronny Peterson, Didier Pironi, Jackie Ickx. I could have included some other guys as well, some other guys that come up regularly when it comes to these lists, are the likes of Carlos Reutemann, and also Jean Alesi as well. And on top of that as well, I firmly believe if he never wins a world championship, Charles Leclerc will also probably stake a claim to be in this list. Although his career is not finished yet, he's still young, he's still got plenty of chances to win a Formula 1 world championship before he retires. I also did a list a while ago, sometime last year, going over the best drivers to never win the world championship. So if you've already seen that, you already knew probably who I was going to pick with this one. It was a tier list, and I went over all the drivers who have finished at least once runner-up who never won the world championship in Formula 1. In the top tier, the S tier, I had Sir Stirling Moss, Ronny Peterson, and Gilles Villeneuve. In the A tier, Jackie Ickx, Didier Pironi, Charles Leclerc, although I've just talked about him, and also Wolfgang von Trips as well, another guy whose career was cut tragically short, but somebody had to miss the cut. Bruce McLaren and Carlos Reutemann also up there as well, but didn't quite make the A tier. But yeah, your thoughts on all this in the comments below, guys. What do you make of my picks for the best drivers to never win the world championship in Formula 1? Am I on the money or am I miles off? I want to hear what you have to say either way. Who's your personal choice? Who's the best? In my opinion, it's got to be Sir Stirling, but I want to hear what you have to say on this. Like, share, comment, subscribe. As always, guys, have a fantastic day wherever in the world today, and we'll see you very soon.